Hey everybody, TacticAngel here, back on the PlayStation 4, playing the World of Warships Legends. We're on North. I am in the Lightning, sometimes called the Light King, just because of what a wonderful little ship it is. Obviously, the Lightning is the Tier 7 Royal Navy destroyer. You will recognize some of the gameplay in this from my Royal Navy destroyer quick guide, and I did want to share this one with you because it's another pretty solid game. It shows a lot of probably good gameplay. There are plenty of games that you don't see me play that are maybe not so good, but I'm pretty proud of this one. So I will go ahead and flash my commander up on the screen, and we're going to get right into it. We are spawning on the north side of North. We're heading towards A. Obviously, I think one of the things you want to do when you're in a destroyer is try to capture the base. I am responding to the people who are behind me complaining about how they want a smoke screen by setting a smoke screen. I don't think this is really a great thing for most Royal Navy destroyers to do because your smoke screen doesn't last all that long. But if they want to try to sit in that, that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and get about the business of being a destroyer, and we take out that Fletcher right away. Pretty awesome. Here you can actually see the 360-degree rotating turrets. You can also see me playing with a little too much confidence in myself because probably the wise thing to do there is to pop hydroacoustic search. I think I sometimes don't do it just because if I know where the torpedoes are, I suffer some indecision. And if I think I know where the torpedoes are, I just act. So this is a personal problem. So we're just going to move on. What's happening here is we are not going to fire our guns at this point until we get and there's the capture. Pretty good stuff. There's an Iowa coming over here. Obviously, Iowa, probably the strongest boat in the entire game right now. We are going to go ahead and maybe ruin his day a little bit by putting some angry metal fish in the water. Not quite the line of death formation. We've got kind of a tight spread of just randomness there. So I think he's going to continue to move relatively straight because he wants to get out of that firing line. He wants to get behind this island, probably pretty close. Here's about where he's going to start seeing those torpedoes, and by that point, we've got at least one on target. For those of you who are going to ask, I am using preset number 2, and that allows me to follow the shots that I take. Now we're going to speed this up just a little bit because, of course, we're going to spend about the next minute or so not really shooting at anybody. What we're doing right now is providing eyes for the rest of my team, and they are going to take shots on this Iowa. I am not going to take shots on this Iowa until I'm at least about halfway around him. Usually I like to get all the way around. He keeps kind of nudging further away from everybody on my team. Here we see we're pretty much to the point where we're even with his bow. Not quite, but pretty close. At this point, he has better things to worry about than me. We see him unload his guns, and he quickly dies. So we didn't really add too much there, but every little bit counts. You don't want to leave somebody on 100 hit points, or I've had as little as 14 and come back and killed several ships. So speeding this up again, what I'm doing at this point, you're a destroyer, your job in this sort of game is to try to cap these bases. So we're heading over towards B because we only have the one base right now, and so we're kind of bleeding points even though we're up on ships. And if we can get into B, we can at least stop them from accumulating points from B, and if we can capture it, we can kind of reverse that tide of losing points, because as you see, our lead is shrinking just a little bit. Obviously, we're seeing some point changes because of boats being sunk, and at this point, everything that I'm saying maybe doesn't matter quite so much. But anyway, we're coming up on this King George V. We're going to start putting some shells out there because I'm, once again, pretty sure he's not going to start shooting at me. King George V has kind of a very exploitable superstructure, let's put it that way. I find I have pretty good luck setting them on fire, which is only fair since, of course, the King George V is kind of the ultimate little firebug. And by little, I mean very, very large. Those main battery shooting HE are just brutal. So really, we're just adding to the damage here a little bit. You can see up at the top, we only have about 18,000 damage at this point, which isn't very high. But this is kind of the destroyer gameplay I like to play, which is mostly playing the objective and enabling the other people on my team to do well. And I think there are probably some people who, let's say, don't necessarily have the patience to not shoot at things when they have them in range. I spend a lot of time looking at ships and not firing at them. And that's not even considering like torpedo reloads and whatnot, because as you see, I didn't even fire torpedoes here. A lot of what you're doing as the destroyer is, you're capturing the bases, one, but you're also providing those eyes, and particularly at these high levels, you have some of these ships that are very, very solid damage dealers, like the Atlanta. You be the Atlanta's eyes. You don't shoot anything. The Atlanta shoots everything. And actually, you do get points for that. So we take care of the other destroyer up there. We are going to slow down here. We want to make sure that we don't sail out of this capture zone without actually capturing it. Certainly, that's extremely annoying when people do that. So we're not going to be that guy. And we're kind of trying to time this so that we get ahead of speed and start heading over towards C. And there we have it. Cap it right there at the end. We're going to speed this up just a little bit. And this is kind of the part of the game that I probably really like more than I should. Because, this is a workhorse sort of game. This is the kind of game that you want to have as a destroyer player, and you want to have it as often as possible, where you are really helping your team win, not necessarily by doing damage yourself, but by facilitating both the point game and your teammates doing damage to other people. So at this point, we are coming up upon 2 German ships. We have, I believe, a Hipper, and I think we also have a Scharnhorst. They are shooting that middle gap, which is always a pleasure. I do not like to drive battleships through anything that narrow. Okay, it's not a Hipper, it's a York. Generally similar idea, but one tier down. I'm moving so that I can get this island between us. This will help me maybe not be the person who is immediately spotted, but it was inevitable that I was going to be. I'm pretty close. We're inside of 4 kilometers. We're thinking about shooting at that York, but the York is not a very well armored ship. It tends to take a phenomenal amount of damage very quickly, and it is actually going to die here in just a second, even though I had nothing to do with it. So here we go. We're starting to line up our attack run. All of a sudden, the York no longer exists. We've just got this Scharnhorst. He is going to run into this island. I see this coming, so I put pretty much all of my torpedoes out there in the line of death formation, and there you go. Just a solid bit of destroyer gameplay. We come away with the victory. I do a paltry 48,000 damage. That said, I'm really happy with this. replay. And that's why I'm sharing it with you. It's not a phenomenal result. You see, I only get about 2,300 experience, but this is the kind of gameplay I feel pretty happy with when I do it, because it helps my team win, and TacticAngel is all about the wins. And of course, we finished with a beautiful explosion at the end. So, hope you've enjoyed this very short video, a little bit more about how the sausage was made. I'll see you guys on the next one.